Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. Today we are going to be responding to some of your questions. A couple of different people have asked me what types of chemicals or cleaners I actually use when it comes to cleaning out my tubs and working with the reptiles. So that's what I'm going to be discussing today, is a few of the different things that I use right here in the reptile room that are safe and effective in cleaning and working around the reptiles. So stick around. I'm Jack, and you're watching Python Addiction. We're going to be talking about different types of chemicals and cleaners and stuff like that today. I do want to preface this with the fact that not all of these products may be available outside of the United States, or they may go under other names. So you may have to do a little bit of research to find the comparable product wherever you're located, or see if it's even allowed or available in your location. But I'm here in the United States. These are all products that are readily available to me. So that's what I'm going to be discussing today. The very first product, and I'm going to put a little image right up here for this one, is Dawn dish soap. It's a very simple, easy product that is known by a lot of reptile keepers as a easy go-to for cleaning everything. You can use this, rinse everything off. I use it when I'm cleaning and soaking my water dishes, when I'm cleaning out all of the bins, because I'll go and bring a bunch of bins right into my bathtub area, because it's a nice big area, so I can clean out and scrub out a bunch of the bins all at once. And I just use some of the Dawn dish soap. I will also use the Dawn dish soap, a couple of drops into warm water if I get a new snake in that's going into quarantine as part of their quarantine soak. So it helps to get rid of the mites, if there are any, that I have to treat in that respect. It's a great, simple way to do that mite preventative in that respect. But one of the other products I will be talking about can also work just as well as that. So, aside from the Dawn dish soap, what else do I use for disinfecting everything in the reptile room? Because I obviously can't take the racks themselves out of the room and wash them down. That is where I use this product right here. It is called F10. And you can see it's a little bottle. This is actually concentrate. And right now I've got a little bit. This bottle will last you a long time. I've had this bottle right here for over 3 years now. And I mean, I still have plenty of it left. You dilute this in water and use it as a sprayer, and it works absolutely perfect as a disinfectant. This is a veterinary grade cleaner that can be used and is perfectly safe around your reptiles. One little bottle of this costs like $20, but it will last you for a long time. If you have a larger collection, you might go through it a little bit quicker, but if you only have a couple, this is going to last you probably almost as long as you have your pet reptile. So this is definitely one of those that I highly recommend. And I will have like Amazon links that will be affiliate links in the description below for as many of these products as I can find down there, so you can pick them up yourself. I get a tiny little kickback from you using those links, and it helps to support the channel. So if you're looking to get this, use those links in the description below, and feel free to pick up any of these items that I'm discussing about. But like I said, all you have to do, this has a little chamber here. You just give this a little squeeze or a tip because it's got a little fill thing. You literally fill this little bit up, drop it into your squirt bottle, fill it up the rest of the way. I normally use distilled water and shake it up, and I can go to town, and that spray bottle lasts me a few weeks without even thinking about it. So this is a great disinfectant that you can use. And then following along the disinfectant route, the next thing that I use on top of the F10 is chlorhexidine. This is a big, huge bottle of it. I use it a lot because when I do my full deep cleans, I do an F10 treatment, I do a chlorhexidine treatment, because it makes sure to kill everything and anything that could be around as far as bacteria and everything like that. But you can also get the chlorhexidine in small little concentrate bottles. Again, I get these right off from Amazon. You, again, just mix this with water in a squirt bottle, label it accordingly so you know what's in there, and spray it around, and it'll work perfectly for disinfecting your surfaces. And again, these are types of things that are used in the medical industry, and you're not putting these chemicals on the reptile directly. So once they dry out, everything is perfectly safe next to your reptiles. Now, when I'm cleaning, after I clean my water dishes, I like to make sure that they're completely disinfected. And I took a little bit of a direction from Kevin over at Nerd when I started doing this, and I use chlorine. During the pool season, you can get these, and sometimes some stores will have them year-round because they work for hot tubs and stuff like that as well. These are just little chlorine tablets. These particular tablets are nice and small, and this little thing, I've been using this for almost 3 years now, and it's still got a bunch of them in there. But they're very small little tablets, and what I go through and do is I'll fill up one of my sinks with cool, not cold, but lukewarm water, and just drop a tab in there. And I'll come back in a couple of hours, and then I'll dunk all of my bowls that I've already cleaned into that water, take them out, and put them back on the drying rack just as a final disinfection cycle. And that makes sure that all the water bowls are completely clean and sterilized, so I don't have to mark or have to worry about whose bowl is going where, because I do try to maintain as much biosecurity when it comes to all of my snakes. I don't let them interact with each other except for the breeding snakes that I have. So I try to keep cross-contamination between two bins or two enclosures to a minimum. And that's just to be safe. That's part of my own personal habits with how I keep my reptiles. And this is one of the ways to make sure that they're getting completely clean and sterilized bowls when they get their bowl changes and everything like that. The next thing that I keep around, and this was going back to when I was talking about mite treatment possibilities with the Dawn, is Reptile Spray. And you can get it in multiple sizes. I get the big gallon and I just fill this up as needed. I go to shows, and when I go to shows, that gives a potential risk for exposure to all of the animals that I bring to the shows. So when I bring them back, they all go into quarantine, and they get treated with the Reptile Spray just as a preventative to make sure I don't accidentally introduce mites into my collection. And they normally stay in quarantine until the end of the show season for me. Then I start that actual quarantine time, and then they'll come back into the reptile room once I have deemed that they are safe to come back in here. But that stuff, get it if you have a lot of reptiles, you can go through and get it by the gallon, and it's a lot cheaper that way. It is a little bit more expensive when you get the smaller bottles like this. But if you only have 1 or 2 snakes, then you really don't have to get a huge bottle of it. It does last for a long time, so it's completely up to you. One of the other things that I do keep around, and it comes in handy, especially with the fact that I have some of my snakes that do feed on live, and occasionally they have gotten bit, and it's one of those, I try to feed frozen thawed as much as possible, but sometimes it's a losing battle trying to switch them or get them to eating frozen thawed, so I will feed live, and there's always that risk of the rodent biting the snake, and it's happened a few times. And when it does happen, I use the povidone, the iodine, as a way to make sure that they don't get an infection. So the way that I use this is I'll give them a warm bath, and in that warm bath I'll drop a couple of drops worth of this into that water and let them soak for a little while, and I'll repeat that process a couple of times a week until they go through a shed cycle and I see that the wound is healed up properly. So those are a couple of the things. The last thing that's on my list that I keep everywhere, I have several bottles of this all over the place, hand sanitizer. You can never have enough hand sanitizer, and I recommend, especially for those with larger collections, getting it by the gallon. I get this right off from Amazon, and it lasts a lot longer than, and it's a lot cheaper than getting just all of the smaller bottles, especially after what happened in 2000-2001, to where the market for hand sanitizer went way up. I use this every time I go through and handle a snake. I use hand sanitizer before I handle the next one, and I use it all the time to just keep myself clean and make sure that there's minimal cross-contamination for the snakes, and so I'm not transmitting anything to me, myself, because handling snakes sometimes slither through their poo and stuff like that, so you want to make sure to keep your hands and yourself clean as well when you're working with your animals. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, was just sharing some of the stuff that I use when I go through and do cleanings here in the reptile room, and share that information with all of you so you can get stuff or be a little bit more informed on things that are safe to use with your reptiles when it comes to keeping their enclosures clean, when it comes to keeping all of the stuff that you put into their enclosures, and things like that. If you have any other suggestions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section below. Tell me if there's something else that I'm missing or that I might want to look into using. I would love those types of comments and suggestions. If you like today's video, as always, hit that thumbs up button, as that lets me know that you like this type of content. And lastly, if you've made it this far into the video, and if you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel. And while you're down there, click on that notification icon, as that'll let you know when I post new videos. And until next time, I love you all. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack. This is Python Addiction.